Okay, so it's 5:01 on Saturday the 31st. So January's over now. January 2026 is over. Now we're going to be going into February. Oh, man, time is so weird. And I have so many little things I wanted to talk about. So, but we're also going to go live later today. I still got to check with Crystal what time. But we're going to go live later on this afternoon. So I think I'm hoping it's going to be more like 2 o'clock my time, but I got to see what her schedule is. So it might still be 1 o'clock my time. But anyways, we'll see what time, but that's the plan, is to go live later today. And so there's a whole bunch of little things I wanted to talk about. One of the things was a couple weeks ago, I had said something about, I was talking about the bugs in the ear and how it freaks me out. And I was thinking, I don't even know if it's true, if that really happens. Then last week, I saw two different things that showed it. So in that show that I've been watching, that's called The Pit, it's about the ER, one day in the ER. And they showed it. So somebody came in and they were having to flush their ear, and a roach came out. It was big too. And then last week, I also saw a nurse. I don't remember if she was an ER nurse or what she was. I think she may have been an ER nurse. I can't remember, but she was a nurse. And she said, she was talking about the cases that had bothered her the most. And she said one of them was a bug in somebody's ear. And she said, which happens, that people get bugs in their ears. The bugs crawl in there. So now I'm on ear plugs. Which then, if you put in earplugs, then how do you hear your ocean sounds when you're sleeping? Then it just is like, man. But I want to maybe just tape over my ears. I don't know. It kind of creeps me out. Right now, though, I don't think, because it's so cold, I don't think that there's, well, I don't know. If there's lots of roaches around you, maybe they're going in ears to get warm. Who knows? But but so she was going to go flush it, and she said suddenly when she was down there, the roach came flying out. It was a flying roach in this lady's ear. It came flying out to this lady's face and totally freaked her out. So, so apparently bugs go into our ears. It freaks me out because I'll feel something in my ear sometimes. But I think, I think it's kind of loud, like you hear it in there, but I don't know. Fuck, I could have several dead bugs in my ear for all I know. Fuck if I know. But totally creeps me out. And another thing, I was watching that show yesterday, and the 3 episodes now. So it's supposed to be 3 hours. It's supposed to be the one shift. This whole show is one shift. And so the past couple episodes, and the one I'm on right now, is all after a mass event at a concert. So it was a concert, like the Vegas situation. So it was a big festival concert thing, and all these people were there. And then somebody decided to go in and, weaponize it. And so it's this mass casualty event. And so it's very gruesome. The whole thing is very gruesome. And they're bringing all these people, and there's all these stories and all this stuff going on. And so then I turned it off and I went to bed. And then I dreamt all night. I was at a, a mass casualty event myself in a mall. And we were trying to hide from this guy. It was so long and it was so creepy. And so, I don't know. So I think some of these shows put stuff into your mind or something. And I swear to God, we got to be careful over what we watch. And anyways, so I still want to finish it because I'm almost done with this show, even though there's another season going right now. But it's each week they put on one. And I can't stand to watch that kind of thing. I'd rather just watch it all and see. But I like the characters, and I'm sure they're going to leave it on some cliffhanger where I'm going to want to see this season. So that is irritating, but, or I can just blow it off and just let myself forget about it. So, which I would in a few days. But anyways, but I watched this movie yesterday that I really, really, really liked, and it's called Begonia. And I had heard about it, like I had seen tons of people talking about it, so I already knew everything that was going to happen in the show, in the movie, and it didn't spoil it for me. I knew what was going to happen, and still I enjoyed it, and then I understood it with more detail too. So, well, I'm going to probably say things that if you don't like spoilers, that you probably don't want to listen. So, so I do want to talk about it for a few minutes though, because there was definitely, it's kind of like disclosure. It's also kind of like uh, leading us to look at things the way they want us to look at things. And so the um so in this movie is this guy who I really like. This guy, when I very first saw him, he was in Breaking Bad. He's married to I can't think of her name, but she was the actress when she was a kid. And I don't know, I think a lot of people like her, but I can't think of her. Is it Styles? I can't remember. I don't think it's that one. I think it's a different one, but I can't think of her name. I can picture her. But anyways, so he's married to this other actress, and she's good and he's good. He's so believable. And all the time when I see him in a character, it's like you really think this is a real character. He brings this character into life, like, so I think he's a good actor. And I was just thinking, with the two of them, I wonder if they practice together or something, because I think they're both really good. But so, anyways, he plays this guy who is, I guess, like you would think of a conspiracy theorist, and he has like good reasons for what has led him in the direction that he's gone. And on his backstory, it seems that he was raised by a mom and a dad. That, like, maybe the dad was not just a drug, maybe he was um, abusive, and then that's what the mom was, became a druggie, or they were both just druggies together or something. I don't know, but he had a childhood that it seemed that his dad wasn't around much. His mom was. His dad he had no contact with now or something. But his mom was sick, and she was like in a coma, and she was opiate addict. And so they had put her on, the farm had put her on some type of medication so that it would do something, but it didn't do well. Instead, she went into a coma. So she's in a coma somewhere in some facility, and he's pretty upset. And so he's got his cousin, who's his only real friend, and his friend, or his cousin, who's like got some kind of I don't know, like maybe some kind of developmental delay or something. So he's kind of slow, and then his this sheriff cop guy shows up sometimes, and he talks about their history, and he starts apologizing to him because he was his babysitter when he was a kid, and he used to obviously sexually assault him. So the guy, the kid, the main character, so he was left with this teenage boy who sexually assaulted him. His mom and dad are out doing drugs. Who knows what all his dad did. I just know that at some point somebody apologized to him for what he went through with his dad. So I don't know what his dad had done to him. I don't know what all. But this kid had a traumatic childhood. And now he's, his mom is sick in the hospital. God, my hair's whacked. And so anyways, in a facility, not in the hospital. She's in some kind of long-term facility care place. And so, so he okay, so he says that he had started out as a activist, and he said he went through the whole thing, um, and it kind of woke him up to something. I don't really remember, but anyways, I found that interesting when he was talking about this journey through activism, and because we're witnessing so much about that right now. So, anyways, he talks about that, and then he started realizing that we were being our world, that we were being manipulated or controlled by these other beings, which he's focused on the Andromedans, the from Andromeda or whatever. So he's focused on one certain group, one certain planetary being or whatever, however you want to think of it. And so the Andromedans, however you say it. So which you would think it would be the Anunnaki, but it makes you think like what I mean, I don't even feel like we're in a movie. I feel like we're in a cartoon. We're in some sort of cartoon. And so it's like cartoon world. And so he becomes focused on them, and he starts realizing that they are manipulating and controlling us, and they're experimenting on us, and they're killing everything, and they're killing the planet, they're killing us, and all this stuff. And so he decides to start hunting them. So he begins hunting people who he believes are aliens that are trying to pretend to be humans. And so he kind of I won't even talk about that part. Leave that as a surprise if you haven't seen it. But there's more to that. And so then, but he goes and he nabs this lady who is, I think is her, I know her first name's Emma, but I keep on wanting to say Thompson. But then isn't that the other lady? So I don't know. I don't know. I swear to God. All these people, I don't know. It's weird because they all, I don't know, they all, do they just have like one clone and then they just, I don't know, there's something weird. The whole thing in Hollywood is just weird. So so anyways, she is this CEO of a farm, and she is a certain personality type. And so in the verse too, it shows her working like with somebody who like teaching her like combat move, like protective moves and stuff like that. Well, it didn't help when she was getting nabbed. And so I mean she's like fighting and stuff, and she still got overcome. And so they get her, they take her, and they shave her hair off in the car, because if she has her hair, she can communicate with her planet. And so they shave her hair and they take her, and then they also get some kind of a antihistamine cream and cover it all over her, because for some about that too. And so then they trap her downstairs. Well, she keeps trying to like talk to them and outsmart them and be like real business, um, you know, she kind of was reminding me like of a salesman or something. But so she keeps trying to talk to them and get them to see that she's not an alien, and they need to let her go. And then there's people looking for her. And that's why the one cop keeps showing up too, because her cell phone had pinged out there and it's out in the country. And, so he's going around asking people if they had seen anything. So then he has to apologize to this guy about, him touching him as a kid and all this stuff. And then which also I thought it was interesting on the music of the movie, because the score of the music, they didn't give the guy a script or anything, They just gave him like 4 keywords and told him to write songs to go to these 4 keywords. And then they just put the music in. But it's very dramatic. It's really good. I really liked it. Um, it's dramatic, like symphony music. And so anyways, I liked the music to it, but it's unusual. And so then so she's just trying to talk sense to them, and they do some testing on her because this guy, he knows different things about them, about these Andromedan people. And so he does this whole electrical thing, like electrical shock thing, and she goes up to like 400 volts of electricity. And so then he stops and he apologizes and he says, I had no idea that you were royalty. And so he's got this whole thing about her being royal, and she's got the royal blood because there's no way she would have been able to handle that much voltage. And it's so he's very apologetic. So then he has this fancy dinner with her, which is spaghetti. And has her come upstairs to eat with him. And he's talking about he wants to go on the mothership, and it's almost the eclipse, and he wants to go on the mothership with her because he wants to talk to the leaders and ask them to please. He wants to do this great work for Earth and get these people off of Earth and get them away from us so that we can live in peace because of what they are doing to us. And so, which there's so much truth in this stuff is what's so trippy. And so that's why there's just like there's disclosure out there. And I don't know if it's like people are trying to put in stories and movies and stuff like that. And then before they wouldn't let people put certain stories out. And now, some of these stories are coming out. And now they're allowed to show or say things that they weren't before. But there sure is a lot of this now. So he so he so there's more that goes on in this whole thing. And it does have a few really violent, kind of brutal scenes where it's like, oh, that's ugh. So there's like a couple of things that are pretty gory. But the cousin ends up killing himself, and then you don't know if she did some kind of mind control on him. He just killed himself because it was kind of odd. And so then he gets really upset, and when he's out because he's a beekeeper too, and that's they make a lot of reference about the bees, which is weird because I make a lot of reference about that. But he makes a lot of reference about the bees and the colonies and the worker bees and this whole thing. Even before, when I've talked about like the universe is really like a beehive, that's what it's more like, where we try and think of it as like these flat planes and linear and all that stuff. But it's way more like a beehive of all different realities. And so he is out there with this cop getting him some honey or something to try and get him out of the house where the girl is. And then he hears the gunshot of his cousin. And so he goes, when that happens and the cop hears it, then he has to kill the cop. So now he's killed his perpetrator from when he was younger, and he's run back in, and she's apologizing. She's saying, look, I didn't do anything. He did it. I'm so sorry. And the guy's really mad. So she tries to calm him down and tells him that she's got the cure for his mom in the car, and tells him to go get it and take it to his mom. So he goes out and gets it, but it's not the cure. And it's antifreeze. So he goes over drives his bike. Everywhere's on his bike, and they do this music during his bike rides and stuff. So he gets to his mom, and he gives his stuff, and he's really hopeful. He's really excited. He thinks that, she was being truthful. This is the cure. They've been doing all these tests and stuff. And so he gives it to her. She dies. She comes back. He comes back to the house, and she's figured out way more of his whole thing. And she's very disturbed by what she finds when he's gone. And that's more about what has happened to other people when he was, because he's been, the alien hunter for a while. And so she starts telling him a whole bunch of stuff. And she says, yeah, I'm an alien, and I'm from Andromeda. And she starts telling him about how Earth even came about, and how they, she says, so when they came to this planet, it was dinosaurs and stuff. And then they did something, some kind of test. They did something that ended up killing them. And so they, out of messing up, then they tried to do more to help. And so there was some other thing too that happened, because she brought up about the floods and the people who were left. But she was talking about the humans. The humans are the problem. The humans are violent. The humans are ignorant. That their behavior, all this stuff. So she's talking about all of it's the humans that are the problem. And we have tried to do everything we can to help the humans, but it's like the humans are unhelpable. And she said, we have been doing these tests because we are trying to help you guys. So your mom was so bad that we were trying to use hers to see what we could do to help, because we're trying to turn things around. We're trying to help y'all, and we don't seem to be able to. And so then so this is the night of the eclipse, and so she says, I'll take you on my ship. And so he's like, okay, let's go. So they get in her car, and she has to wear a wig now. And so they go to her work, and she has to act like everything's fine, even though she's been missing and they've been looking for her. But now all of a sudden it's like, no, it's good. And so she goes in with this strange scrubby guy, and goes through the place, and she can barely walk because of all of the battles and fights and stuff, and she got hurt. And so then she gets in there, and she uses this little calculator, and she has to put in this 95 numbers. And so she said she has to remember them. And she said, well, part of the problem is her being here is she's adapting to humans. And so it's not good. It's not good for her. And so she has to try and remember all the numbers. She remembers them all. And then she tells him he has to go into the closet. And that's the place that you get zapped out. And so he says, okay, he's going, but he shows her, he's strapped. He's ready. He's got all this stuff, like a Unabomber or something. Only it's on him. So he's ready to, I don't even know. So he starts it, and it just seems wacky. And so then he goes into the closet, and so she says that she's going to count down. And when she counts down, that she'll push the button, and then he will go to the thing, and then she'll go in next, because they can't go in together, because that would mess up their stuff, like the movie The Fly. And so instead, his thing detonates and he blows, and that's gruesome. And so an ambulance comes and takes her, and she's going in an ambulance, and then they're trying to tell her, you'll be okay, you'll be okay. And she says, something, is he dead? And they're like, yeah, he's dead. And so she jumps out of the ambulance and starts running. And so she runs back to her work, runs and she's looking up the sky the whole time. Then she runs into her closet, does the little number thing again, runs into the closet, and she zaps out and she goes up to the mothership, just like what this guy had thought she was going to do. And so she does go up there, and she is an empress, and her hair did matter. She couldn't communicate with them because her hair was gone. It's like all this stuff that he was saying. And their whole thing is like, we've tried, we've done everything we can for these old humans, they're just hopeless. There's nothing we can do for them. We gotta let them go. And so she goes over to this big like board thing that is like the earth plane with a firmament over it, and she just pops the firmament, and then everybody on the planet dies. And not the animals though, just the humans. And because it was showing all these dead people, but it was showing like a cat walking around and stuff. So I know that had to be some reason they didn't mess up and be like, oh, we forgot about that. So it was very much directed to the humans. And there was so much about the humans being a failed experiment. The humans are too ignorant. The humans are the problem. And so they had things about they were being run by these people from another place that are smarter and more advanced than us, and that's true. And then but the thing is how they try to keep it so focused on you're a human. And that's where I was like, we're not. That's the thing, is they want to convince people that you're a human. No, you're not. You're not a human. The human is like it's like it's not even real. It's an experience. And so it's and this is so weird because you are what is inside the human. And we're all like, and it depends on your coding. But, I mean, some of us are from Andromeda, some of us are from the Pleiades, some of us, like, we go from all over the place. We're not just earthlings. We're not just humans. That is such that's a false reality that they're trying to feed us to keep us trapped in a limitation. And humans are the problem. And the thing is like, and humans are an experiment. And that's the thing, but it's not that we come here to experience what it is to be a human in this parameter of a reality of this existence. What is it to be this in this place? And that is what it is to be human. And then we have all these people that bring different characteristics to the table. Not everybody's trying to be the best human they can be. A lot of people hate the humans and hate other people and all of this stuff. And it's like, but we aren't. There's nobody here that's just a human. A human. It's like thinking about your clothes and thinking about like your jeans. Like if you put on jeans, then you are jeans. And then some jeans being better than other jeans. It's like, no, it's just a pair of jeans. You're not the jeans that you put on. You're the jeans inside. But you're not the jeans that you put on. And it's like people don't realize, like, you aren't what is on the outside. You are what's on the inside. You aren't this and we're so much more complex. We're so much more of like multiple different beings coming here to a destination to experience what it is to be this. And the thing about the earth humans is because that's another thing, is a lot of other places have humans. They have humanoid beings, whether they're called humans or not. That's kind of like what they came up with here to call people. It's like, oh yeah, well, that's the humans. And then even throughout this whole situation that's been going on, then they decided we're not all human. Like they came out and said that. And which that's true. We're not. And they're trying to say because of what, they put in here, that changed people. But they've been working on that for so long to try and she even talks about that, trying to restructure like your DNA, your code, which is, I've been saying that and saying that and saying that. And then plus they are in looking for certain codes. So they're looking for certain beings, and so there is, it's like this is why it's like a cartoon or something, because it's like this battle that is going on, but it's on all these different levels. And so, hold on. Man, I'm fucking allergies. So the, because I can see it, but I don't know how to explain it. But I can see it as a cartoon. I can see this whole thing of like the characters and this, like you're a character from, let's say, you're a character from Andromeda, and you were here during the Roman times, and you went up against these Vamps or the Z's, and you were, in which would you think of them being a different group, a different tribe. So you from, and that's the thing, is like we're all from different places, and so you are here, and you go against them, and they don't like you, and so they do you in, you leave, and you come back, but you come back as somebody different, so they can't recognize you. But they're the same, but they can't recognize you because now you have changed costumes and you've come back in a different time period. And so, but you still have the same drive to go, against them or whatever the thing is. And so you come in, and so they want to find you. And it's kind of like a disruption into your experience, because the souls that are coming to go through an experience so that they can grow from the experiences. So you're going through all these different experiences. So you may not come in because you're like, well, I'm going back, I'm going to get those guys. You come, is more like I had said before, it's like to complete your learning, to complete all the chapters, to complete the whole reference, the book of whatever it is you're trying to learn. It takes a lot of different courses. And so you're coming in to complete your coursework, your courses, but these guys are still looking for you because they know you're going to come back in because you have more courses to do in order to complete your circuit, your field of learning, So they have got eyes looking because they know. 'Cause that's one thing, is like that at this period of time, they were expecting all of these people to come in who would be harder to control, and they would have more memories, and they would be more combative and cause more disruption to the playing field. And that is one thing where they've tried so hard to create so much distraction and chaos, because then it is a disruptor. And so they knew there was going to be a bunch of people, and there would be people who they have known at other times. And so it's like they've been looking and searching for certain people that they thought that they could, take out and get rid of, that would ease the it would like ease the chaos. It's like they're creating chaos, but it's like they want control of the chaos. They don't want us to come in and create chaos. They don't want us to come in and start telling everybody stand up for yourself and shit. They want to create this this strange tension to keep confusion. And so anyways, but that's the thing, is like we're all like playing different kind of on different levels. And so, but that these beings who have been here for a long time are watching out for their enemies. They're watching out, trying to figure out who's who. And they can't recognize you because you don't come in the same, because you're not just a human. You are somebody who gets to change. We're shape shifting just the same. Like we're coming in a different thing all the time, into their realm, into their game, and like tricking them. And so, and then their game is to try and keep us in confusion, to kind of dismantle our learning. But there's no real way to do that, because you learn from every problem. So anything they do, you're still going to learn from it. You're still going to have lessons that'll be completed no matter what the disruption. But that is also on us to be able to circum what is that, circumvent, be able to travel through our lessons and accomplish what we want to accomplish. Like, so it's up to us to stay on track, and they create the interference. But us as the soul, especially as you advance in your state of consciousness, to be able to distance yourself, keep yourself out of their control or their containment, and keep yourself more in your solidarity, in your, as you as a whole. And yeah, it's like they want to splinter you and keep you confused, keep you scattered, keep you in different labels and different diagnoses and different problems. And but it's up to you to put your pieces back together and recognize yourself. But that is the challenge at this point in time, in this reality of what we're here going through. So it's not like the whole human experience from start to finish has been the same. There's been multiple different experiences, but when we take them as different courses in our learning, then we go through all of these different experiences to pull into this period of time now, where we are in the process of understanding ourselves as a whole. And so, and they want to create a lot of disruption to that, especially at this period of time when the cycles are ending, because their cycle their time is up. And it's like they're about to, yeah, that's weird because of how much homelessness they've created, but now they're about to be like galactically homeless. They're the ones who are about to be more of the homeless. Oh, that's why sometimes why they do, like, these different beings end up out just living in ships and stuff, just like what we do now. People are living in campers and, you know, places like that. We're all like living in how we can, but that's like the same thing as what, when it flips, that's like the same thing what's going to happen to them. So, and there's no stopping it. They can't stop it. But they I think it's more of like they want to, okay, you know, like when somebody who's like crazed, like they're down and they, you know, they want to do themselves in, but they don't want to go alone. So they're going to go to a concert or a mall or something, and they're going to get a school, anywhere, and they're going to take as many people with them at the same time. So it's kind of more like on that these people who are of the lower vibration of this, the controllers of this realm, is what we well, through our experience, but that they want to keep as many people in the low vibration to build their population. So but the thing is okay, so it's kind of like, for a lost soul, they could keep them trapped for a long time, maybe even turn them into their side. But for most souls, the majority of souls, that they have more of a drive in them that is powered by the light or a higher vibration. And so they're harder to get down or keep down, even though they have a lot of mass confusion right now. But to me, such a huge part of the confusion comes because even after I had watched that movie yesterday, and then I was like, people need to realize we're not human. Like this this concept is pushed on us, which is very limiting. I've said this so many times. It's a huge limitation to think of yourself as just being a human. I'm a human. No, you're not. And for them to like push this narrative, it is very limiting. And then to push it as even, you've failed the earth, it's your problem and stuff like that. It's all a huge limitation, and it's real misleading. And so I did a couple videos talking about it. I did a couple on TikTok and I did a couple on here. But whatever happened is weird, because whatever happened the other day on TikTok, they just changed all of the censorship or something. It seemed to do it on here too, because it was like suddenly, like trying to. It's weird. You just have to see it from the inside. It's just weird. So something's going on here too, not just on there, but and there's certain things they don't want us to talk about. It's like they don't want people to understand you're not a human. And so so I had somebody this morning say, well, if we're not a human, what are we? It's like, you are what is inside. You aren't this. You are and you're so much more. And so you're like the battery pack. You're the energy, you're conscious energy, you're eternal being. You are a time traveler. You are something from all over the place. You're not just this. And you're not just the destruction of this place. And yeah, we have participated as beings in the destruction of this place. We've played along, but that is also ending. That is also changing. And this is the thing too, is like right now there's like horrible stories as usual, horrible shit going on. I saw a lady yesterday who was bawling her head off, and she was an older black woman, and she was bawling her head off, and she said that I guess she witnessed it. These boys, these teenage boys or something, and they were all black, and she was so disgusted and so upset because they went out there and just beat a duck to death. Was real brutal, stomping it, doing all sorts of stuff. And she said, and now they've left all her ducklings have no mom. This lady was tore up, man. She was going off on the black community of like, what is, like she was just feeling shame and just so upset. And I even reposted her thing because I felt like, she needed to be heard. She had so much emotion, and she was and that's the thing, is like, there is certain communities where the people are just so angry and feel like, but we've got some fucked up bullshit. out on this place. And each person is playing their own part. And it is important to realize, like, you aren't a human being. You are a being here to experience what it is to be human. And try being the best human you can be. Like, don't fall into the trap. Don't become a monster. And then I saw, the day before, a lady, and she was all tore up. And this happened in Brazil. And showed pictures of the dog. So it was this dog. It was on the beach. And a lot of places, like I know in Costa Rica and stuff, like animals get to live free. And so I don't know if this was just a free roaming dog and people like fed it and took care of it and stuff, and it lived on the beach. But these four rich boys in Brazil decided to beat this dog to death. And they were going to get in trouble. So because they're rich, they fled the country and they've come here to America. And so they wanted us to know that these boys are here now and they are escaping and fleeing from this horrible crime that they committed. It was violent and brutal and senseless, completely senseless. Just like, murdering a duck. What is your point of doing this stuff? Why? Oh my God. And so so this is, these rich kids, which, we do have a part of our human experience throughout the learning curve, that we do have a lot of kids that feel like there's no consequence. They can just do whatever the fuck they want. And, and we do have, where we did change from being spanked and stuff to just, trying to be nice to your kids and talk to them and stuff. And then whatever, however we've gone, it has not worked out well for us. We've gone in a direction that is like, well, that didn't work. And so it might have worked for some, but it didn't work for the majority. And so we've got, turmoil and stuff going on. And I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I don't know. I mean, we're going against heavy energy to try and do anything, which also the energy is very heavy. That's where we're up in the middle of the night again. The energy is intense. And but anyways, so we have that, these two horrible, senseless crimes happening. And then when you want to hurt an animal, that's a sign of psychopathy. That is showing that you have got some mental disorder. You have no compassion. That's a mental disorder, to have no compassion. That's what an antisocial psychopath is. And so so these people are showing signs of that. And once they've crossed over from hurting animals, it's easy to, especially as a gang, a group of them, to go and hurt somebody else. Well, we don't like how she looks. We don't like how he looks. We don't like that person. So let's just do them in too and be brutal. Like, I mean, we didn't get in trouble with that, so we can do whatever we want. And we've got so much of that. And then in Oklahoma, there was two boys, 16 and 17, and they're both adopted. And the mom, who's 47 years old, and they don't know which boy did it at this point, or both of them, I don't know. But somebody had done in the lady, and then they went out and stuffed her in the trash can. Like, you think the trash men aren't going to notice? Like, what in the... What? Like, I mean, I don't know. I saw a middle school teacher talking about, like, her students, they don't know their address. They don't know their phone number. They don't know, I mean, all the things that they don't know. Was it, you'd think she's talking about first grader or something. These are middle schoolers. And she said the problem is they don't care. They don't care. They're not embarrassed. They're not embarrassed. They don't know their own address. They don't know how to get home and shit. It's like, oh my God. I mean, I was 5 years old and I was out having to walk to school. And so it's like, I don't know. I feel like that we had to, well, for one thing, we had to know all the phone numbers when we were kids. Like I knew everybody's phone number, and you knew everybody's first and last name. You knew where people lived. Your parents knew their parents. Like it's such a different world, man. And you know, I don't even know. It's like we are completely turning into that movie Idiocracy. And when they put that movie out and they said this is what we were going to become, it seemed like a joke. Like, oh yeah, right. Look at it's totally happening. And so yeah, we're devolving, not evolving, or devolving. And but it's up to each human. It's up to each individual, you know, to pull yourself out of the the density, the density, and to pull yourself free. And you know, I mean, it is concerning for these kids to be running around like that just are those two boys in Oklahoma are arrested, which also the story supposedly in Houston, the news story, because they show these things like these news stories and stuff, but then I guess somebody's just making them up. But the thing is I think they're being made up by the powers that be for disclosure to get us to realize like this stuff is going on, because this stuff is going on. So even if the one with this whole thing with the 100 hearts, and I saw one too where a bus of 300 kids have gone missing, and then 300 kidneys shut up or something like that. There's got all this stuff. But the thing is I think it is trying to get us to understand this stuff is happening. So even if the stories aren't true, I mean, we got people pretending to be the president. Like we got all sorts of nonsense going on, which there's more weird signs that Donald's showing. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Even this whole thing with uh, O'Hare, what's her name? Christina O'Hare, the lady, the actress that just died. There's a whole bunch of different signs and symbols in this whole thing. And he did just now put in this new leader, or he replaced the Fed guy. So there's stuff going on with the currency, the finances and stuff. And so there's just a lot going on, and no telling how it's all going to just fall apart. Who knows? But the thing is like these people, like there's when the poles flip, like when the energy flips, when everything turns right side up, these people, it's like like these kids, this stuff is going to come back on you. Like everything you're putting out is going to fall back on you. And then I don't know, if they can't pull themselves out of it, they don't go forward. I mean, it's not like, you know, just because you know, they're kids, well, they'll learn, they'll go to the age of Aquarius and they'll learn. Nope. You have to match the vibration to get there. So they're not going to be able to go and do heinous things and then just be like, well, and then get to go. It's like, and who knows, like, how this is going to all play out. Like, there's so much going on. And I saw somebody today say a quote from Mother Teresa, and which she's involved in all this stuff too, is that she had said that they'd ask her during Nam, like, why aren't you going to the protest? Why aren't you out there marching against this war? And she said, when we start marching for peace, I'll be there. And which that's what the monks were doing. And they did gather a lot of people marching with them. And that is the thing, is like right now we are watching as people who want to fight back. That's just continuing the battle. It's time to stop. It's time to stop fighting back. It's time to stop going at it like that. What they want to keep you in the battle. They want to keep you in the battle zone. That has been a part of the human conditioning that has continued to keep us in this violence and this anger and this low vibration. But you got to pull yourself free from it. You can't continue those kinds of behaviors. You can't continue, you know. There's so many videos coming out, like, and where it is like, Amy was saying that's got to be an actress because they're so over the top, man. They are like, you could not be for real like this shit. Like a guy who's saying, he would like to see all the MAGA females all be gang RAPED on live TV, so we can all, so everyone could enjoy watching what happens to them because they deserve it. I've seen one say, they hate all of the MAGAs and that anyone who has ever voted for him, and that they will come and they will hunt you down and they will do you in and do in all your family members too because they hate you that much. I mean, it's just one after another. These people are either losing their minds, because some of them are. I mean, there's some of them are real people who are losing their jobs and they're just out there saying just crazy wacky shit, man. It's like, how can you sit here and think like, how do you tell yourself you're a good person when you're sitting here wishing and hoping for all this violence and hatefulness and death and all of this stuff on people because over their opinion, and not even just an opinion over who it is that they appreciate with this governing force. It's like, it's absurd. It's so absurd. And people have to see their own absurdity, their own, where they're caught like a fish. They got to unhook themselves and pull themselves free, because until then, you're just, you're the catch of the day for these people. And so, anyways, we still have more of this to work through, more of it to watch as it unfolds. And there's a lot, man. Like, you'd think at this point we wouldn't be seeing so much violence and so much ignorance and so much hate. But yeah, it's gonna come in and it's gonna blow, man. It's gonna blow. And and then also, if it is, that they're gonna just, the firmament's gonna pop and the experience is over. That's the thing, is like, those of us who have awareness, we will just pop out and go and start creating something new together. But it's not like we end like, oh, the humans, that's over, get rid of the humans. It's like, no, that whole experience would be over. But there's a lot of, when you hear the people talking about the galactic and all that galactic federation, that this is where humans become up, like humans join in with these other beings. So it's like they join, but that doesn't mean that you're human. It just means like, it's kind of like a created thing, and then certain people went in and went through all these different roles to create what it is to be, and then the ones that evolved and became successful at the game, then they get to carry the shield of being considered what it is to be a human, and then that status gets to move up into, the trophy shelf. And so then that becomes like a status, a statistic, it becomes a role, identifiable role or something. But the thing is that we're just all different players from all different places. We're not just humans. It's like the people who are the successes, they will become what it is to be a human, I guess, kind of. And then that will become a part of the Galactic Federation, a part of the galactic coalition. It becomes a part of the more advanced beings. But that is the ones that you have to go through the process to get to that status. And it's not like every human. It's like some of the humans, it's going to go back to the drawing board or something. But the whole thing is it's just like, is the whole thing about being a human is like, it's not, you're not a human. That just, I don't know. It's so weird, because when you see it and you understand it, it makes so much sense. But it's so weird because it's such a trap. is such a trap for people's consciousness, for their minds, to think that they're conscious, or to think that they're human, and the human is going to expire, and the human is doing this and doing that. But it's like these two parts of you, just like in the micro macro, you have two parts of you. And so it's you, the being inside, and then the avatar that you are experiencing, and what the role is of that experience, of that avatar, and what you do with it. So I don't know. I mean, I can see it and understand it, and I still don't know if I'm explaining it right. So anyways, it makes total sense to me. But there was another thing I wanted to talk about too, because Crystal was really worried about the prong collar thing. And so I wanted to be more specific about the prong collar thing. So for one thing, I mean, anybody who's been along with this whole thing with me since I got her, she has been a problem child. She has, and she's attacked the little dogs a few times. And she's definitely made me nervous, where I'm like, fuck, is she gonna, because she's so she tries to just be so dominant, and she just is so, like impulsive. Like I've said, like she'll just go and sit down on another dog's head, just sit there. Like, it's like, what are you doing? And so far Stella's the only one that keeps her in line, but she gets more and more like she wants to play, come on Stella, I'll take you on. So she doesn't so much just like, oh, okay. No, now it's like, come on girl, let's do this. And so, but she still, Stella can overpower her. But I mean, if she keeps going out of control, at some point she would hurt Stella, because Stella is not a fighter like that. And so, and she was making me feel my own self like I was going crazy. I was like, oh my God, I cannot stand this side of myself. I'm constantly having to yell at her, constantly having to like pull on her, and like grab her by the back of the neck and pull her off of something or someone. And constantly having to yell at her. I was feeling like a psychopath. I was feeling so drained, and she will try and take me on all the time. And the battles to try and like keep her off of me, and it's exhausting. And then the what was I gonna say? Because her trying to keep, because it was another thing too. Oh, because I've swatted her on the ass a few times to try and get her to stop doing what she's doing. Not sit there and beat on her, or punch her, or anything like that. Because I guess there's a girl who just, and her dog is really little. Like, I don't even think he's as big as Archie. And he got out of the cage, and she was live, and she started punching him on live. And all the people are like freaking out. I just keep seeing people talking about it. It's like a big thing. And so it's like, oh my God. So anyways, I want to clarify that. No, I yelled at her, which I was feeling like, we can't have a good relationship if I'm always yelling at her. She's got to be thinking like I'm crazy and I'm mean, and she's not going to trust me. And then I've had to swat her on the butt when she is misbehaving to try and get her attention, and then also grab her by the neck to try and get her to stop doing something. And so, anyways, it has just been exhausting. It's been so fucking exhausting. And there was days where I was like, oh my God, I hate this dog. It's like, God, what did I do? Why did I do this? Why did I get another dog? And just thinking about how peaceful it was. And I know that it stresses the dogs out too. And because she is a force to reckon with, man. She came in like a fucking wrecking ball into this family. And it was exhausting to us all. And so the training thing. So, and then when looking at the training thing, most of them wanted to use shock collars, because I had my daughter going through it and reading all of the different things. She's like going through all of the things, trying to find one that she thought was good, because she just did training. The training I did was like 9 years ago. Still was like 9. And so it was a long while ago. And in that training, they used prong collars. And so you'd go in and put it on them, and then you do the training, and it would keep their attention. I never saw any dog lose its mind. No dog. You just put the collar on and then it kept their attention, because then if you're trying to do whatever, walking with them or whatever, they don't just take off and start running, because it bothers them. It hurts their neck. And so, and I don't think it breaks their neck. I mean, it couldn't do something like that, but I think it pokes it where it's like, that's not uncomfortable. And so then they stop. And I had said something to him about, because when I would go to the dog park, I saw somebody who had a pit bull and their dog was going wild, and they had a choke collar on. And I always be bothered when I see people wearing the choke collars or just having a collar on their dog while they're walking it, and their dog's going crazy, and you can hear their dog choking and coughing. Now I'm always like, that seems really bad to me, because it's like, God, can you crush their esophagus? Could you suffocate them? Like, that doesn't seem good, because you see these dogs like, and the people pulling and pulling, and it's like, oh. And he was explaining to me about the problem with that, because it is also the collar. It's not just the choke chain. And so both of them are bad for, and it's how the dog responds. So it's something like the dog will pull more, and with a prong collar, it won't, because it doesn't like it. It's uncomfortable, so it pulls back. And that is what I saw. So when I did Stella's training class, you went to this big class place, and all these people were in there with their dogs, and they would have you all put on the prong collars that they had. And I think I bought my own. And I also with Lucy, because Lucy went to the same training place. So that was the only training that I knew of, is like, oh, well, these prong collar things for training. And so I, went. And then my daughter, I don't remember, because she had paid to do training, and she maybe didn't want to use anything. But then her girlfriend went to training, and I think they did prong and shock collar, because shock collar is very common right now for training. And my brother, who has the Malinois, who, when they took him to her to training, they used the shock collar. And he said that the trainer had him put the shock collar on so he could feel it, so he knew what it felt like. And he said it didn't hurt, but it catches your attention. It's like this little zing, and it catches your attention. And he said, but it didn't hurt. And so anyways, he was comfortable doing the shock collar. My daughter's girlfriend, she was comfortable using the shock collar, but my daughter was very much like, try and do any of the ones that don't do a shock collar. And she said, you'll have to decide, because they're going to probably want to do a prong collar, because it all says it in their thing, what they do to train with. And here, I think there was like 8 places around, in all the different places. And I think if you don't use anything, I would think your training is going to take way longer, because it's really hard to get their attention. So anyways, and I've got Miss Crazy Pants over here. And so when the trainer guy came and he put the collar on her, she went crazy. She started bucking around and throwing herself, trying to get it off of her. It wasn't like she was in pain and screaming and crying or anything. No, she just wanted to get this thing off of her. It was interfering with her wildness. She wanted to run around and be crazy, jump up on us and everything. And this was preventing her to do that. So she was trying to get it off. So she was bucking around, throwing herself around and going crazy. And I was just sitting there like, oh, shit. And this is the part where I was like, man, I don't know that I could have followed through by myself. And because I would have been like, oh, it's probably hurting her, I better take it off. And but he just stood there and let her throw herself around. He wasn't doing anything. He's just standing there letting her throw herself around. And he said, she'll do it until she stops. And then all of a sudden she'll realize, like, oh, if I just sit still, it doesn't bother me at all. And she did exactly what he said. He said she threw herself around and stuff. And then once she sat down and she sat still, then I was like, oh, God, that was intense. He goes, yeah, it's always really intense, especially when you put it on a wild dog who's big like this, where they've been able to run around and have control of things. They don't want to not have control. And so I was like, oh, man, that was intense. And he goes, "Oh, you think that was intense?" He said, "You should see, like, if I go to the park and people are all like thinking you're hurting the dog and stuff. And so here, it's just us. But I can totally see it because I've seen people lose their minds on people who have a prong collar on and start seeing they're abusing their dogs and stuff. And so the um but he said German shepherds, he said they don't start screaming in pain, they start screaming because they're pissed. But he said it's so crazy how much they start screaming that it gets a lot of attention. But it's not like pain. It's not like, it's more of like mad, like I can't do what I want. And so but he said the German shepherds are really dramatic. But anyways, so then she just started, like she'd just come and sit and she would be calm. She would pay close attention. She was being a lot more paying attention to what you were asking her to do. You got her attention. And she started seeing, like, oh, I can't just do what I want. And there was even a point in time where she wanted to jump up and start throwing herself around, but then she stopped and she thought about it and she sat back down. He said, see, that starts teaching them to think, to not just act on impulse, but to actually start thinking. So a lot of the stuff he was saying, was making sense to me. And I saw such a change in her. Like, oh my God. And I did put it on yesterday morning. Like, I took it off so she could sleep because he said, keep it on her so you can, what does he call it? So you can, like, redirect her if she's doing something. Like, she doesn't really feel it if she's just walking around. She doesn't really notice because it doesn't bother her. She just lets me put it on. She doesn't be like, no, she gets mad. No, she's kind of like, she even is like, oh, cool, I like it. And so I had put it on her, luckily, yesterday morning, because after I finished this, she totally attacked Max. And I could see it in her eyes. She was just looking at him and looking at him. And she's getting madder and madder for no reason. He's just laying there being sick. And suddenly she attacked him. And I grabbed the little leash thing and I pulled her off. Before, it was like an ordeal. And when she would do something, like trying to attack one of them. And so it was real quick. And I was like, fuck, I was glad I had that thing on. And so then I had it on her for a little while. And then I took it off and she started acting wild. So I put it back on her. She calmed down again. And so then I think when she was sleeping yesterday, I did notice like she had it on. It was like her daytime nap. And I was trying to pay attention, like, it doesn't really seem like it's bothering her while she's laying there. But I would be bothered. Like, I wouldn't want it on. So I took it off a few times. And then if she started to act crazy again, I would just put it back on her. And then when we went out and did our training, because you got to do training with them every day. And so I said, okay, well, let's go to do our schooling and let's put your thing on. I told her necklace. And so she let me put it on and we went out there and she started trying to throw herself around again to me. And I just stood there and then she just stopped and then she sat down. And so she's doing good. And it's funny though, because Crystal was saying, the vets want him outlawed and stuff like that. And I was like, well, that's kind of funny. They would, well, I know that the vets here were the ones telling me to go do training with her because she was going to be big and she would become out of control. And they must know, like, this breed is hyper as fuck and impulsive as fuck. And so, which I didn't know. But which I should have done more research. It's my bad. And because if I did, I would have another Mastiff puppy. So anyways, but what's meant to be is meant to be. I was meant to have her because the whole thing, how it worked out and stuff. So anyways, but on the VETs, to be like that, I was like, that's so weird because they want to keep, I mean, do they really have our animals' best interest? I mean, they do things that, you know, a lot of things end up being more harm, and they want them all on, those little white pads, what we all get from the farm. They want them all on those stuff. And then, also all the tons of these they do, and then the big one, the RABIES, that they should do a titer, and they don't do anything like that. They just continue to stay on track, well, it's time. You got to have those. And everything's about, you got to have those. You got to have those. And, and, there's a whole group a whole sect of people who are just the same as the human for being all the little kids having to follow and causing so much illness. It's the same thing. We've got all our animals dying and of all these things. And so there's a lot of people who are putting one and one equals two in the same situation with all of the stuff that they're doing. So it's just funny because, like, what would be their solution? I mean, the people who are doing the training are, for the most part, I know that you got to watch out when you're picking trainers. Like when we were looking at the ones for her, we're reading all of the different, what their plans are, what they do, their mission or whatever, but what people say about them, you know. And so, because we had a different one that I was going to do, which she would kind of bully people into doing the shot collar. And so then these guys didn't. We started with this. And I think if she continued to be out of control and this wasn't working, then they'd say, hey, well, let's try this and see if we can get her attention this way. But anyways, these guys seem very reputable and caring, and like, and the stuff that he was telling me, it was really working, like he said. And so we had a great first one. And but yeah, she's laying here right now. She didn't have it on. And I'll leave it off unless she starts going crazy and starts, being wild. And then I have to try and get her to correct her. But otherwise, I'll put it on later when we go out and do her walkabout to try and do some training with her again. But she's doing really, really good. And so, anyways, and then when I'm sitting there thinking about, like, these kids out here being so violent, and no spanking, this whole thing, of like, because that was also something Crystal was saying, like, it's kind of like spanking your kid or something, like to control them and stuff. And then saw those things about those kids and thinking, like, maybe there should be some spanking. Like, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I don't know. And I don't, like, I would be careful, like, to just be like, well, I'm just going to go get a prong collar and train my dog. Like I said before, I was paying all this money to have a professional. I wasn't going to just do any of this stuff just on my own, because I wanted to learn more about, this whole breed and how to communicate with them and how to get them to listen to me and stuff. So I would, like, I can't sit here and say, like, oh, just go get yourself a prong collar and just go out and train your dog yourself. Like, I don't know. I did it under supervision. So it was, every time I've ever done it, it's been under supervision, and it's been intense. So, or this time was intense. When we did it at the other one with Stella and Lucy, I didn't see any dog jump up and go crazy. Not like what she did. Like, she was going absolute ape shit and trying to get it off. She's trying to bite it off. She was just like throwing herself around, trying to bite it off. And he was just holding the leash like this, just standing there. And she's throwing herself around, trying to bite the leash and everything. And then all of a sudden she just sat down and she was like, he goes, they'll figure out that they're the ones that are pulling on, they're the ones causing the problem for themselves once they settle down. And then they see, like, oh, I'm sitting here, it doesn't bother me. I just got to not try and run off. I got to pay attention. And it really was working. So I don't know, but I'll keep you guys updated as it goes on. But right at this point, I mean, there's not even like any kind of marks or anything, and it doesn't push in on their larynx or their esophagus or whatever, which to me, that seems more concerning. I bet you there's people out there who have strangled their dogs trying to train them. So this gets the dog to pay more attention. And so I don't know. I mean, everything is a journey. Everything is, I mean, we all fail at different things, at different times. And then we learn from our failures. Because, a lot of this human experience has been a big, there's some wash out there. So we got freaking kids killing, it's insane. So anyways, but I think that that's the part we can hold on to, is like the people who aren't learning or haven't learned, they won't we're not going to all be sharing space at some point. At some point we're going to be sharing space with people who vibe with us, and when we care about each other, like, because those people also, they'll be vibing, they'll be around people that vibe with them, of being hostile and hateful and violent. So the ones that go towards this whole thing about caring about one another and walking in peace and respecting others' opinions. And yeah, right now we do have a huge control factor over us, and it is very frustrating. It's like they do have us under a choke chain, they do have us under a prong collar in this world. And it is very frustrating for some people, but bucking around isn't going to do any good. So it's time for us to just, sit down and be calm and work on ourselves and move forward in peace and love and coming together and understanding, we all have different perspectives, which gives us our opinion. And we came here, it's a part of the universal experience is for us to all have different personalities, different perspectives, and for us to all still come together. That's the experiment, is do we react to try and control each other in violence and bitterness and anger, or do we come together out of respect and love and loyalty, and being able to be like, appreciate all the different opinions, appreciate all the different perspectives. So anyways, that's the direction I'm heading. How I can't sit there and say, well, I'm in alignment with it. We'll see. We'll see. I'm, I'm hoping. I'm hoping that's what I try and make my focus, to be respectful and loving and caring, respectful of myself, loving myself, appreciating myself, understanding myself, and then being that for with everybody else, and not be judgmental and bitter and hateful. And so anyways, that's the direction I feel like that we need to go. And I think that all of these crazy things give us an opportunity to make a choice. You're gonna go dark or you're gonna go light. And it's always, it depends on where you want to end up. You want to go dark, you're going to end up in the dark. You want to go towards the light, then that's the direction that we're going. So anyways, and in order to get there, you got to learn how to love yourself. You got to learn how to love everybody else. And you got to learn how to have the day you want to have by how you experience with all the things going on. And so, and we'll see what this experience brings us today. I'm sure there's going to be more drama, more absurd bullshit, more crazy nonsense, and probably more death. I mean, if she's the one, it usually comes in threes. So there'll probably be another famous person who will die today. But but we'll be around later this afternoon. I'll work it out with Crystal. So I'm not sure of the time. I would just say probably between 3 to 4 Eastern time. So around there. And so I was trying to think what that was Pacific time, because I was thinking it was out 12 to 1 Pacific time. So that would be 2 to 3 for me. And no, 1 to 2. And then for Crystal, it'd be 2 to 3. And then for the East, 3 to 4. So somewhere around there, depending on where you're at, that's our plan, is to come and talk and visit with everybody and have everybody get a chance to talk about whatever, is going on with you and how you're dealing with things, or whatever you guys want to talk about. Let's talk about it. So we'll be around later this afternoon to talk. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.